Welcome back to the Ghost Bunny podcast. I'm your host, Bridget Marquardt, with a brand new episode for you guys. This week, I have Brooke Pryzstal. Brooke Pryzstal is the current owner of Wildwood Sanitarium. She purchased Wildwood Sanitarium in 2017 with her mother, Lori. The sanitarium was first built in 1900 and has gone through many renovations in its life, but none are more important than Brooke's goals to restore it to its former glory. Brooke is a very busy girl. On top of running Wildwood, Brooke also managed to receive an associate's degree in business, became a certified Reiki master and psychic medium. She is certified in domestic violence prevention, a licensed cosmetologist, and active mental health advocate, all while only being 23 years old. Brooke has been featured on Paranormal Lockdown and multiple episodes of Nick Cross' Death Walker. And I'm so excited to talk to her today because I'm going to Wildwood Sanitarium and I can't wait to hear about the history, the hauntings, what I can expect, and also how you can book your tour. So let's get started. Brooke, thank you so much for doing the show today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
So first I just want to give a shout out to Daniel Clace he's the owner of the Hinsdale House, for connecting us and recommending that I stop by Wildwood when I'm in New York.
Yeah, no, Dan's always such a huge supporter of us, and we work very well together. So yeah, that was super awesome for connecting us.
Yeah. So let's tell everybody well, first of all, let me just say what's happening for me. Some of you may already know this, and some of you may not, but I am going to New York and I'm going on a trip to Lilydale. And when I'm done with Lilydale, we are going to stop at Wildwood Sanitarium and check it out, do a tour there. And then we are spending the evening or the night at the Hinsdale House. So I'm super excited. It's a total Ghost Bunny trip. And some of these things, like Lilydale and Hinsdale House too, have been on my list for like 5 years to go to, and I'm finally getting to go.
Oh, that's so exciting. You'll love Ladydale. It's like being in a whole different world. It really is a crazy feeling. You'll have so much fun though.
Yeah, and it's an all-girls trip. Like I'm meeting I have Tammy from Hollywood Paranormal, or sorry, Holly Weird Paranormal. I think I said it came out wrong. And then I also have Intuitive Tawny is going to be there. She's doing workshops at Lilydale. So, and then her friend Kim, and then my friend Elizabeth Yuko, who I've had on this podcast before. All of us are meeting up there and going together. So I think it's going to be a great time, and just like a lot of female energy, which I'm excited about.
Oh yeah, no, that'll be a really fun time.
Yeah. So I'm excited to do, and just, it's not paranormal, but I just have to add that, well, maybe it's paranormal, but I'm also going to do Niagara Falls while I'm there, because
There
I
you
can't be
go.
that close to Niagara Falls and then not do Niagara
Right.
Falls.
Right. You have to go see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it has its own ghost stories, right? Because like so many people have like tried to jump off from like a barrel and like all these weird things. It's probably pretty haunted too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would not doubt it at all. I mean, there was an accident not even that long ago that a woman like lost her life there and everything. So I really wouldn't doubt it if there is spirits there, wandering around kind of lost. Because a lot of people there too obviously passed due to, suicide or something like that. So they would be very lost. So I, wouldn't doubt at all that there wouldn't be spirits there.
Yeah, and then just that energy of that water, like I haven't been, but like just seen photos and video, like it's the energy coming off of that water is like so much. So I feel like things could get captured in there.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like, we find that with Wildwood too is so it's on a Native American reservation and it's right next to like their sacred river and everything. So we kind of wonder if that, spikes activity or, connects to the house somehow. But yeah, they definitely say, water can be a conductor of, energy and with the spirits and everything that they're attracted to it. So
Definitely. Okay, so let's tell everyone what Wildwood is, because I know for me, the first time I learned about it was the very first time I had Daniel on my podcast. He mentioned it, and I knew nothing about it, and I kind of kept it in the back of my head that if I ever went to Hinsdale, I wanted to check out Wildwood too. And then I had him on again recently because I am going to Hinsdale now, and I was like, "Tell me about that Wildwood again."
yeah.
So, I feel like if I don't know a lot about it, there's probably a lot of other people out there that don't know a lot about it too. First of all, tell us where it's located.
So we're in Salamanca, New York. We're about only a half hour from the Hinsdale House. We're like Western New York, about an hour south of Buffalo.
Okay. And then I know you sent me the kind of like a little bit about it here, a paragraph of it. And I'm happy to read that unless you just kind of want to walk me through it and tell me like when it was built and who built it and what it was and what it became and all of those things.
Yeah, so I can give you like the short little click note version of the history, obviously, because I don't want you, here forever talking about it. But
Well,
this
we've got an
building,
hour.
yeah, this building was actually built in 1900, and it was originally, we don't know the original purpose that the building was built. We're trying to figure that out. That's one of our mysteries, because we actually have an article that says that when the doctors purchased the building, they were waiting for the previous tenants to leave. So we're trying to figure out then why was it built? Because it's, I mean, a huge building. We have 5 floors in total. There's 14 rooms, a full basement, and a full attic. So, I mean, if someone built that as a house or something, they had a lot of money. But we're trying to figure it out, why
Yeah.
they originally built it and everything. The Historical Society believes that it could be older than that, with it being like the Native American reservation and everything. They sometimes would just slap 1900 on an old building if they didn't know exactly when it was built. So they think it might be older than that. And we have a few different things too that make us think it's older. We have gas lighting. We have square nails in the foundation and the rafters where we replaced the roof and everything. There was square nails in there, which they really kind of stopped using around like 1870s.
Oh.
So yeah, we're thinking it's older than that. But so then in 1904 it was the doctors purchased the building, completely renovated it. They wrote tons of articles that they had to do a lot more work than they thought they were going to. They had to put in a whole phone system and all the medical equipment, obviously, that they were going to need to open. And they opened it as an osteopathic clinic. So they did natural healing.
I was thinking the doctors are probably thinking the same thing you are. They're like, oh, it's 1904. This was just built in 1900. There won't be too many renovations. And then it was really built in 1850 or something. And they're like, it's 50 years old. We had to change everything.
Yeah, no, they were talking about that, how most of the renovations they had to do was actually in the basement, because it's crazy because that's where they did their treatments for some reason. That's where they settled. But I guess it makes sense because they did bath treatments. So you've kind of seen that in some of the horror movies and stuff, like electric battery baths where they shock you in the bathtub and or throw you in hot water, cold water, stuff like that. That's what they did there. And then we don't have an exact end date of when the sanitarium closed, but we do know the doctors passed away in the early 40s, and they did own the building up till then.
Okay, I do have a question about the baths and stuff. Do you think that they were doing this? They were doing this with good intentions, right? I mean, it sounds horrible now when we think about it, but do you think that these doctors did think that there were benefits to this and thought that they had the patient's best interest in mind? Or do you think this was like a form of torture for people?
I think they really did think that they were helping the people at the time, because actually the spirits and stuff sometimes will still act like they're trying to help people. And we can kind of talk about that during like people's experiences. The house kind of it still wants to be a healing place. That's really something that's really special about Wildwood, is it still tries to heal people even today.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's super interesting. So we always joke that it's not like a public investigation or a tour or something if someone doesn't cry, because they will come and get a message from a spirit or a loved one or even someone like in the group, a random person. They will get a message from them that they really needed to hear or, needed to know or something like that. So it's pretty crazy to watch. We've had having like so often, especially on public ghost hunts. It happens constantly.
Interesting. Maybe you need to make it into like a spa.
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of. That's what we wanted to do at one point. So, like me and my mom originally purchased the building in 2017. And I, have been there with her throughout the whole thing. And then I bought it a couple years ago from her.
Oh.
But our goal was to someday maybe do like Reiki and stuff like that in the house once we get everything fixed up, and because it is an active restoration project. So
Yes. Ooh, it is summer and I love summer so much. And especially with an upcoming like end of summer trip planned, I want to look and feel my best. And since I'm so in the mood, there's no better time to create healthy meal habits that last. And that's why I'm using Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for clean eating. I don't want to spend a ton of time in the kitchen. I want to be out enjoying the summer. And with their new Heat and Eat meals, you can enjoy a delicious, wholesome meal in just 3 minutes. These meals are perfect for supporting my wellness journey and yours. Green Chef recipes feature fresh, organic, seasonal produce and 100% responsibly sourced proteins to help you feel your best. And here's the cool part. Green Chef's real clean ingredients help you build lasting, healthy habits without the hassle. Enjoy salads ready in just 5 minutes, protein-filled breakfasts, or nutrient-rich smoothies to fuel your day. Green Chef is ready to nurture your nutritional needs. And I think I've told you guys how picky I am, or shall I say particular when it comes to my food. Green Chef has 80 plus dietitian approved weekly meal options. Makes it easy to find meals that fit your lifestyle or good for picky eaters like me. You can pick from Mediterranean, gluten-free, plant-based, protein-heavy, even gut and brain health, and calorie-smart choices too. The recipes change every week, and with week-to-week flexibility, you can adjust your plan to match your mood and your schedule. Plus, it pulls me out of my comfort zone. Sometimes I get stuck in the same recipes over and over again, and now I'm creating new meals that Nick is like, wait, where did this come from? Make this summer your healthiest yet with Green Chef. Head to greenchef.com/50ghostbunny and use code 50ghostbunny to get 50% off your first month. Then 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. That's code 50ghostbunny at greenchef.com/50ghostbunny. Okay, so the 1940s, the doctors pass away, but they still own the home. What happens to it then?
So then we kind of have a blackout period a little bit, but then we know so we're getting like late 60s, early 70s. It was turned into 3 apartments. And it was apartments for a long time up until like 2000-ish when the previous owner bought it, and he had a lot of children, so he raised all of his kids in the house. And then like I said, my mom bought it in 2017 from him.
Okay. And you know what? It's much bigger now that you described it and stuff than I thought it was going to be. Cause I looked up some pictures and I was like, okay, it kind of has like a house look to it.
Yeah. Yep.
But when you describe it as 5, I didn't realize 5 stories, and it's huge.
Yeah, no, it's definitely huge. And there's 14 rooms too, so it's big. And when
Yeah.
we have tons of articles and everything, and they said that they would have up to 14 patients at a time in there, like full time staying there. So that's pretty crazy, in that building. But
And
a lot of pictures, yeah, well, a lot of the pictures when you look at it, they're like from the front and you don't see it from the side because it's more like narrow and then wide. So yeah.
that makes sense. And then tell me, because for some reason, this just helps me like kind of get a feel for the place, and maybe other people too. I imagine it kind of out in the country, sort of by itself, or is it in town and surrounded by other buildings?
So it used to be all by itself. When they bought the building, there was no other buildings there. They planned to actually extend it and make it bigger and have maybe another facility on the land and everything. They own the entire corner. And that's why people will ask, well, why is it Wildwood Sanitarium, but it's off Prospect Street? Yeah, because it used to be off Wildwood Avenue, which is right next to the house. But it was kind of like Prospect Avenue would have been their driveway more or less. That none of the houses were there. And then so now it's surrounded by houses, and there's like a
Okay.
little convenience store next door that sells drinks and goodies and stuff or whatever. But yeah, there's houses on every side of it now.
Okay, interesting. Because I full on had this feeling that it was like kind of by itself somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely would have. So you kind of picked up on that, back in the day, it definitely was off by itself.
And when's the first time that there was any reports of it being haunted? Like did the doctors say anything weird, or probably not, but maybe, or did like the family that owned it, the big family that owned it in the 2000s have any reports, or when's the first time?
So, we have had people actually message us or email us over the years when they lived there back in the 70s, 80s, and all that. They had experiences, and that's like how far back it goes from what we've found. But yeah, we had actually the one neighbor, she's right across, kind of diagonal from the house. They've lived there forever. And her one friend lived on the third floor. And she said, when she would come home late from work, her furniture would be moved. Like super weird stuff, like chairs on the tables and just stuff that didn't make sense. Another thing a lot of them said is pictures not staying on the walls, and we still have that issue. That still happens, all the time to us. We have, yeah, a lot of experiences from when it was apartments. The family that had the building before us and everything, they were super religious. So, when we were like touring and everything, we asked, just for fun, like, oh, do you ever experience anything? They're like, oh no, like we don't believe in that stuff and everything. So they, never really said anything. But actually, we met, so he had a younger daughter. She's around my age, and her friend growing up in school, I actually met her at the Hinsdale House, and she was talking to me about how, she practically lived at Wildwood because that was, I guess it was like the spot where all the teenagers hung out in Salamanca. So she was there all the time, more than her own house. And she said, she had a few different experiences. A lot of it was just, she always felt uneasy. Like it didn't, something felt creepy, and they would get freaked out sometimes and stuff like that. But so yeah, we do have experiences, before we bought it and everything that, we've had people reach out to us.
Yeah. I've heard, and obviously in the movie Poltergeist and other movies and stuff, I've heard about furniture like being moved or stacked up. Like all of a sudden you turn around and all the kitchen chairs are like on top of the table or whatever. I have never seen anything like that. How about you?
I haven't seen them. I mean, I have seen them throw things. They have definitely thrown things in the house. We've had furniture move, but it's not like right in front of us. It'll be like we'll go clean the next day and something's just not right, something like that. But they've definitely thrown stuff at us. When we did the show Paranormal Lockdown 2, you can see on the show where the giant mirror fell in the one front bedroom. And that mirror actually caused so much trouble. It's actually in like a wood case type thing now. Because that mirror likes to be thrown at people and do crazy stuff. So
Interesting. Okay, so in 2017, you and your mom go to look at this place. Why were you guys interested in it? Were you interested in it because do you just wanted a historical place and something to redo? Or did you know it was haunted and you really wanted to buy a haunted location? Or what was your motivation?
Well, so me and my mom, we were investigators for a few years before that. So we were like really into the paranormal and everything. Never did we think that like we would own a location, or that was not the goal ever. But you'll find like with a lot of location owners, it just kind of happened, like it was meant to be type thing. So my mom was actually, she worked in town, and we lived a couple towns over at that point, and she stopped to a gas station to get gas in town. And one of the ladies that she knew that she did ghost hunting and everything, and asked her, she's like, oh, do you know that old hospital is for sale? And my mom was like, what are you talking about? There's no hospital in Salamanca. And she said, oh yeah, it's over on Prospect Street, and it's for sale. They have a sign on it. You should go check it out. So she told her, okay, tell me where it is and I'll do a drive-by or whatever. So my mom drove past the house, and instantly, like, she just had that feeling. Like, it kind of consumed her for months. I mean, I'll be honest. She ended up, knocking on the door and talking to the guy. He let her look around, and she probably toured it 2 or 3 times before he called her and said, look, if you're not going to buy it, I'm going to list it with a realtor and then the price is going to, double or triple or whatever. So, she just had that, she was obsessed with the house. And a lot of people didn't support her, obviously, because it was a crazy project. I mean, this house, when you pulled up to it, it had no roof in a lot of spots. I mean, literally, you could see the sky. Like, it was bad. There
Oh.
was in the one doll room, there was like a person-sized hole in the concrete wall. Like, I mean, it was bad. So, my dad, my whole entire family called her absolutely insane because here she is getting up there and she should be retiring and all this stuff. And, she's looking at this crazy building that's going to need tons of money to work and everything. But, yeah, here we are 8 years later. So she purchased the building. And actually, we were super lucky through Dan. We had the opportunity to do paranormal lockdown, which, helped tremendously with coming up with funds for, the restoration and everything through tours. Because we do all kinds of different tours and we let overnight groups and everything, obviously. So yeah, it's been a project over the years, but it's a whole family project. We're all involved now, but yeah, it took a while to get there.
What were your first thoughts? You said a lot of people thought she was kind of crazy for taking this on. Were you excited or were you like, oh my God, what are you doing?
Oh no, I was one of the only people that supported her. I'm like, do it. Like this is so cool. And I instantly fell in love with the building too. I mean, our whole lives are now consumed by this house. So I mean, we're there like every day and constantly doing something there. But I was one of really the only people that supported her. And so that's why we've always kind of done it together. I mean, I've
Yeah.
always done she would do tours at the beginning a lot. She would do a lot of the tours and obviously the business side of things because I was really young. I
Hmm.
was only like 14 or 15 at the time when she bought it. I would do like a lot of the social media and, we would come up with events to do and, all kinds of stuff. And it's really cool because I basically got to grow up there. How crazy is that as a kid to be able to say you grew up in a haunted sanitarium? But
Yeah. For us weirdos, that's so cool.
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Other people might be going, no, but I'm like, yes.
Right. Yeah, no, that house is like it's huge to our family. I mean, I met my husband there. I got married there. Like we have all of our family celebrations there, all of our kids' birthday parties. And like anytime I've had my children, they've always predicted their gender. They'll call their names even before they're born. Crazy stuff like that. So we're all definitely very connected to the house.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. When you first walked through the house, your very first time there, what kind of feelings did you get?
Well, obviously, like freaked out. Like you feel like you're being watched. You still
Okay.
feel like that, especially if you're like cleaning or doing something. You definitely feel watched, and it's kind of like that creepy feeling too when sometimes you have to go, down a hallway and turn a light off and run back. That kind of feeling,
Yeah.
You just, someone's watching you and you just get a little freaked out. But I remember, so my, first experience in the house, people that had it before us, they left a lot of things because they were an older couple at that point. They were moving to a tiny house and everything. So they left, oh, like their whole lives. I mean, there was stuff everywhere. So I was in the little boys' room well, that's what it is now. And it had a ton of like kids stuff in it and stuff all left. So I was bagging up clothes to donate. And I turned and I just felt like I was being watched. Again, you feel that feeling. And I
Hmm.
turned and looked over my shoulder. And at the time, I didn't know who it was, but I saw a really tall man with a very nice in a suit and like a shorter top hat. And he just kind of looked at me and then grinned and turned around and started whistling and walked down the hallway. That freaked me out. Yeah, that was really freaky. But it was just like okay, like that was really weird. And I yelled at my mom because she was downstairs and she came up and we looked and obviously no one was in the house. And then, it took us a couple years actually to get pictures of the doctors and what they looked like. And we ended up getting the pictures from their college. So we have their yearbook photos. That's how we know what they look like. And as soon as we got the picture of the doctor, that I knew that was instantly him. And he's still very involved in a lot of things. I mean, people see him and speak to him all the time at the house. So, yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. And what would you say are the main things that people experience when they go there? You said that some people cry, people see the doctor. Like
Yeah.
what are some of the tell me some of the stories?
So I think like Wildwood is really known for EVPs. People get insane EVPs while they're there. You know, I've heard of everything from people getting EVPs about, you know, bodies being buried there but then like random EVPs too of children saying random things and or asking for help, different stuff like that. So I always tell groups, you know, they always ask us, you know, what equipment should we bring? You know, what works best there? Always bring a recorder or something like that because EVPs are huge at the house. And then I would say a lot of like feelings. They give impressions to people. Especially up on the third floor, people will have a really hard time breathing or they'll feel very uncomfortable. It just depends on I think it depends on like your intentions coming into the building and how the spirits feel about you. But they will give you impressions of feelings and you know, we've had people either get really angry randomly or really sad randomly, you know, all different types of feelings. Obviously, people see a lot of shadow figures too, especially in the basement. People see a lot of shadow figures. My husband actually recently had a really freaky thing happen because he's obviously like heard a lot of EVPs and, you know, spirit boxes, stuff like that, but he's never seen a spirit. He's never seen one. And he goes there a lot by himself because he'll open for the tours or he'll, you know, clean or whatever by himself or go live, you know, on YouTube or whatever. And he went down to the basement because he was going to do a live on Facebook or something. And he walked down the stairs and went to go turn the corner. And he saw a full little boy, like standing there by the stairs. But he said, like, his face kind of looked like he was kind of like underwater or something like his face was kind of blurry. And
Hmm.
it really freaked him out. He called me and he was really freaked out and he came home actually. He didn't do any kind of live or anything, but he still talks about it all the time too. He thinks it's one of we have a little boy that's constantly at the house. He says that he stays there because he's looking for his mom and that's why
Hmm.
he stays there. So we kind of think it might have been him that he saw. So yeah.
So you have the doctor, you have a little boy. Who else do you think haunts?
So both of the doctors, so there was two doctors,
Oh, two
Dr.
doctors.
Henderson and Dr. Perry. They've both come through many different times. And people see both of them. Tommy is the little boy spirit. Sometimes it depends because he'll say Tommy or Thomas, depends. If he's feeling feisty, he'll be Thomas and give you attitude. But, you know, there's been women there too, like Rose is a very popular name, and Clara, and then the nurses. So we actually found the nurses' names by the New York Census for their employees. And they had three of them that were documented. And there was Bertha, Agnes, and Sue. They were the nurses. But we also get a nurse Kathy a lot too. But we don't know much about her because she's not listed as an employee, so I'm not really sure where she fits in or anything. And then we call them so traveling spirits too. We have a lot of them, you know, they'll just pop up randomly and stuff like that. So two houses down is the town's cemetery. So I think like some stuff travels from there. And then also we have all these people coming in to do tours and do the overnights and everything. And I think sometimes they forget to take someone home, you know, from them. So they leave people behind. So, you know, new spirits pop up all the time. So
If there are spirits coming over from the cemetery, they may be like, "Oh, wait, people in this house can hear us or see us or feel us. So let's go over here."
Right, right. No, yeah, definitely. And we've done stuff in the cemetery too, like, connected to people. And my husband was actually just there last night filming. And they get tons of stuff there too. So it's really interesting. And Dr. Henderson is buried in that cemetery as well. So we've gone over there, we take care of his gravestone and do that kind of
Oh,
stuff too. Yeah.
yeah. That's nice. What is there a certain time that you think the house is most active? Like, is it from 4 to 5, or like in the middle of the night, first thing in the morning, or is it just all the time?
We get stuff definitely at any time. Especially like we'll be cleaning. It's always when you least expect it. When you're doing something random or
It's
you
true.
turn the cameras off to get a snack and take a break or whatever, and then something will happen, of course, right?
Yes.
We all have that story of, oh yeah, you'd never believe what happened, but I didn't get it on film because it happened when we weren't filming and everything. But I would say so. People always ask to like the best months to come and time of year. I don't know what it is about November. November is always really crazy at the sanitarium. I don't know what the connection is or, how it works out. But we always experience really crazy things in November.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Would you, so no specific times though, like it's kind of just when it's all the time or
I
whenever.
mean, obviously, like we have a lot of stories at night because that's where a lot of people come.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, like in the middle of the night when people are sleeping, they get a lot of things. People will say that they felt like they were being touched while they were sleeping, the blankets moved, their feet being touched, different things like that. So it's, I mean, a lot at night, but that's when a lot of people are there. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to tell because I mean, we do daytime tours and we'll have stuff happen too. So it all just
Yeah.
kind of depends.
It's funny you mentioned the sleeping thing too, because I think that the spirits love to mess with us when we're sleeping because our guard is down and they can kind of get away with a little bit more. But if you're up and you're like on guard and you're like looking for every little thing and stuff, I feel like they're a little more low key and a little more shy. But the second you're asleep, they're like, all right, I'm going to mess with her now.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think like what we think the feet thing is like messing with their feet and everything it would make sense if like a doctor or a nurse or something was checking on you. Because they'll even do that in the
Mm,
hospital. Like now, if you have surgery or something like that, they'll grab your feet to see if they're cold and stuff like that. So I think maybe that might be it. They're, checking on the person. Because we have
yeah.
that happen all the time. Like, we'll have someone come in and you can tell they have some kind of pain or issue or something going on. And the spirits, they'll call it out on the spirit box or an EVP or something. And they'll say, like, you need treatment or something like that. They will,
Wow.
they definitely will.
Those doctors are working overtime.
Oh, yeah. 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 Whoever is there, I mean, they really and that's how I was saying, like, the house wants to return to a healing place. It's still trying to heal people, which is, insane, like, how many years later and everything that they're still trying to do that with people.
Yeah. Would you say that there is one room that's more active than the other, or one floor that's more active than the others?
People always ask us that, and I would say so the hot spots are definitely, like, the 3rd floor doctor's office, the basement, and the seance room on the 2nd floor.
Wait,
That's
there's a
definitely
seance room?
Yeah, so that's actually my favorite whole room in the entire house. So we have a round circular seance table, and then it has we'll show you when you come visit everything, but it has a chandelier above it and it's in like a bay window area. So, the view out the windows is really cool. But in the summertime, the whole house is covered in vines, and the vines cover the windows and the sunlight peeps through and it's such a cool spot. But
Interesting.
we get tons of activity in there too. I've seen the chandelier swing like a pendulum. I people be touched in there. Actually, so I've been investigating for a long time now and I've been to all these places. And that's actually the only place I've ever been scratched was sitting at that seance table on my hand. I got scratched on my hand while sitting there. And I think it wasn't like a harmful thing. It was more of a, hey, pay attention to me. Not really. I don't think they were trying to hurt me or anything, but it was more pay attention. And apparitions are huge up there. There's like a kitchen off the room that people will see a dark figure in the back. We're actually going to work on turning that area into like a spirit board room where we have all the boards and stuff on the walls. But yeah.
It was the seance room a seance room? It wasn't a seance room like when the previous people owned it. You guys made it into a seance room?
No, no. So, I think they just used it as like a dining room or something when
Okay.
it was apartments. Yeah. But actually, so that room, I think it's so active because when it was a hospital, that's where they did light bath therapy, which is kind of like a tanning bed. It's similar, it looks similar. It's just different type of bulbs that they used, and they put you kind of on a rack and rolled you into it. And that was part of their treatments that they did. So when you think about how much energy that thing would have given off. So I think that might add to it why that area is so concentrated with energy and you have so many experiences there.
Yeah. When you got scratched, did you feel it at the second it happened, or is it something you noticed
I
later?
did. Yeah, I did. I felt it right on my hand, and I had a mark on my hand for a long time, where it happened. But I think, so I was pregnant at the time, so I try not to like be too involved if I'm pregnant because in such a vulnerable state. So I was there and hosting a public ghost hunt and helping everything, but I wasn't really like investigating, you know what I mean? I was there and helping people and kind of guiding people, but it wasn't like investigating like I normally would have. So I
Hmm.
think maybe that's why. But yeah, it was just like a little tiny mark on my hand. So I don't know.
Yeah. When did your interest in the paranormal start? Like, it obviously, your mom had an interest too, so maybe it starts with her. When did her paranormal interest start and why?
So, it sounds kind of weird. It's out of order. So my paranormal stuff happened before hers, but
Oh.
mine led into hers. So, I've seen spirits my entire life. I saw my first spirit when I was like around 2 or 3 years old, and it was actually my uncle, which turned out to be that he was one of my protector guides. And I've seen him at every major point in my life. I have seen him. He is always there at the really big points in my life. But I saw him for the first time when I went camping for the first time, actually. And I woke up in the morning and my mom was asking me, how did you sleep? It was your first camping trip. How did you sleep? And I said, that I was scared, and Uncle Bob flew through the window and told me not to be scared. So I didn't know anything about Uncle Bob at all because my parents are quite older, so her brother was quite older than her too, and he actually committed suicide years before that. So my family didn't talk about him. My mom didn't talk about him. There was one picture of him in our house, and that was it. No one talked about him. It wasn't a thing.
Hmm.
And she got a little freaked out, obviously. And when we got home, we had this how families have hallways or whatever, and they'll put pictures of their family members and everything. Well, she told me, she's like, "Can you point to the man that you saw?" And I pointed right to him, his picture on the wall.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of where it started. And then I would say it definitely picked up once I became around my teenage years. It really started picking up and getting really bad. And I would see spirits all the time. I would see them in school, like, I mean, all the time. It would really freak me out. I would have really bad panic attacks and all the fun stuff. Then it was kind of weird. So we went to a location that we didn't know was haunted. We actually went there for a family reunion. And it's actually a place that you can still go for investigations and everything. And it's called the Van Horn Mansion. and it's up by the lake, almost to Canada. It's in Newfane, New York, like Lockport and all that. And so we went there for this family reunion, and we saw a brochure that they did public ghost hunts. And we're like, oh, that's like really a thing. People do that. And so then my it was me, my mom, and my sisters actually went on a public ghost hunt there. And, we had so much fun and instantly got hooked. So we went there a bunch of times. We went to a few other like local places. And that's how we met Dan, actually. So Dan, his group ran a lot of local investigations at, different places up in the city. And so we would go and do stuff with Dan and his group and everything. And then we joined another group and actually ran events for them and, would guide people around to all these locations in Buffalo. And then actually at one of those investigations, this girl was talking and she was younger too. She was, a teenager, probably 15 or 16. And she said that she was going to school to be a psychic medium and because she was seeing spirits and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's really a thing? Like people do that? And they're like, yeah, there's an academy for it right in Buffalo. So then my mom put me in that academy and I studied to be a psychic medium and I was only like 13 at the time, I think. So by 14, I was doing full on readings for people and I would, go around to people's houses and do readings or, different things or during events, I would give readings and did all that fun stuff. So that's kind of where it started. And then,
Yeah.
and then it was really crazy because then that's how my mom had her spiritual awakening is she used to sit in the back during our classes, when we were doing the classes and everything. And she just, started picking up on a lot of things and started getting messages and, then her abilities evolved. And it's crazy because we have very different abilities, but it definitely started from her and came from her, but I kind of had that awakening before she did, and then it evolved from there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so interesting because you would think the opposite. But I'm
Right.
curious, you mentioned that you had sisters. Do they also have the abilities?
So, my one sister does not. She's a lot like my dad, so she's a little different. My other sister, I think she does have a little bit of abilities, but she just doesn't really tap into it or anything. She's done stuff here and there, but she's not as big into it as we are. I think my brother, I do have a brother, and I
Oh,
think he definitely has seen spirits in different things. But he has a lot of mental health issues too, so it's kind of hard, but I think he definitely does sometimes see spirits or hear spirits over the years and everything. I definitely think he's had experiences.
what is your end goal for Wildwood? Like if you won the lottery and you could do everything you wanted right now, like what are you trying to do with it? Like a bed and breakfast, a museum, an inn?
Um, so people always ask, and I'm like, the biggest thing is getting the building fixed. That's the biggest thing. We want to see it back to its glory days. That's our
Mhm.
biggest goal. And, we work really hard at it. Currently, I mean, we're completely redoing the garage and bringing that back to how it used to look. And that's our biggest goal for now. And then obviously, keeping it paranormal because a lot of places by us get closed down or, it's not even safe to go in there. People break in. And so we want to have like a safe place where paranormal investigators can go. They can be safe, be comfortable. So kind of like a haunted Airbnb or something, I guess, like a haunted bed and breakfast. And then
Yeah.
I've actually how I talked about maybe doing like Reiki and stuff like that in there, healings. And, we have a mini store too that we have like t-shirts and different stuff like that. And it's just, yeah, it's just kind of that's the main goal is obviously getting it back to what it used to be.
Mhm.
And saving the building. I mean, that's the huge thing. That was the goal all along. Before my mom purchased it, they were trying to knock it down and level it. and turn it into a gas station.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
it's definitely the biggest goal is saving it and not having it be torn down. I mean, just this past week, another historical museum in town lost their building, and now, we no one knows in town what's going to happen to that building, and you see it all the time. So, that's the biggest thing. And obviously, so I have a daughter, so the building will go to her, when it's time and, pass it down throughout the family too.
Do you think your daughter has any abilities?
I so my daughter is autistic and she's somewhat verbal now. She's getting there. She's still young. She's only 3. But
Hmm.
I think she definitely has seen some things. Even when she was little, she would just like look at random spots and just like they were looking at something, that we couldn't see or something like that. She's done some weird stuff like here too. So in our house, this happened not even that long ago, probably 4 or 5 months ago. We heard this giant loud bang on our front door, and our daughter actually walked out to it and was looking, and she was just staring at the door. So kind of like she was picking something up that we just didn't. And there's been lots of like really weird instances like that.
Hmm.
And too at Wildwood, she'll obviously go there with us and clean or, do stuff. And she just wanders around and kind of talks to herself. Like she's talking to someone, but she's not, she'll mumble something. And she is obsessed with the staircase too. She always wants to go upstairs. My son, he has done some really crazy things too and has had some experiences. Actually, so my birthday was in January, and me and my mom were sitting in the living room and we were just talking, and he was playing on YouTube on my phone. And me and my mom look up and the chandelier in the living room was moving. And we're like, okay, this is really weird. Like, what is going on? And my mom asked some kind of question like, is someone in here? And the chandelier was just swinging. And he looks up, like no facial expression, just looks at us and says, There's there's a lady up there and she was shot in the face. She's dead. And then just went back to his YouTube. And that was like so creepy. I don't know, that freaked me out. But
Yeah.
yeah, he just like, yeah, there's a lady up there and she got shot in the face. And I'm like, what?
And
And
how old is he?
so he just turned 7 in May, so he was 6 at the time. And he just randomly said that and then went back to his YouTube. So, and there's been a few different instances where he's said stuff like that. So, it'll be very interesting to see when they grow up and see what they say.
Yeah. That's
Mm.
interesting because it's not something, I mean, I don't have kids, but it doesn't seem like something a 6 or 7-year-old would just
Right.
say.
Right, yeah. And just randomly too, like he was just doing his own thing and we were sitting here, talking about the chandelier and then all of a sudden, he said that, it was pretty freaky.
Yeah. So tell me about some of the other places that you've investigated because
Yeah.
you've obviously gone to the Hinsdale House.
Yeah.
So tell me, you experienced it. Tell me what your perception of the Hinsdale House is.
Yeah, so Hinsdale is a very interesting place. So I've had a lot of experiences actually outside. Obviously, we've had experiences inside the house and everything, but a lot of my like really crazy ones were outside. I'll never forget, we were with friends and we were staying there for one of our friends' birthdays. So a few of us stayed the night. And we had a lot of things. A lot of people go there, and at night they'll have a bonfire because it's in the middle of the woods, and you got the little pond and everything. So we'll all sit by the fire. And so we went out there. We put wood in the fire, and it was just me and his girlfriend at the time. And when we were out there, we were just talking, and all of a sudden ash, like wood ash, started falling from the sky. I kid you not, like Silent Hill falling from the sky. Just ash everywhere. Like it's wherever you could look, wherever you could see, it was falling by the house. It was on our cars, everything. It was a very intense experience. And so we actually ran into the haunted house to escape the outside. Um, and then the next day, I think it was, we brought it up to Dan and he said, "Oh, well, that wood that you guys burned was scraps from the house when we fixed something." And that just, when he told us that, that was insane that, we experienced that and everything outside of the fire. And you could see it even when we got up in the morning. You could see the ash. It wasn't really on the ground or anything, but you could see it on our cars and like the windshield and everything. So
Yeah.
of course, like, they all saged the cars and everything and were really freaked out by it. I've seen, glowing red eyes in the forest.
I've
We
heard I've heard
yeah,
about
no,
that.
definitely outside is really intense. Definitely sit by the pond too. He has a really nice walkway you can walk out on part of the pond and definitely sit there and use a spirit box or something and you'll get really cool responses.
Interesting. West Virginia State Penitentiary.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that place we went to in last June. And it was really cool. So that building, obviously, with it being an old prison and everything, there's no air in there. I mean, it feels like you're in a vacuum. It's like a crazy feeling. No windows, no air, nothing. And it was June, so it was over 100 degrees in
Oh
there.
my
It was
gosh.
it was intense. But we toughed it out and everything, and we were there. And we didn't have too much happen until we were getting ready to leave. And we started in the infirmary part and we didn't spend too much time in there because it was up on I think it was like a second floor. So it was even hotter up there. It was brutal. So we're like, oh yeah, we'll come back later when everything cools off a little bit. So it was probably, I think, like 2 o'clock in the morning. And one of the girls wanted to try and see what we got. And so we were just gonna do like a quick 20-minute session or something like that. So we all sat in a circle and one of the girls put the headphones on to do the Estes method and listen to the spirit box and we were all asking questions. And so, there's people over here asking questions to her and she was answering stuff on, the spirit box and everything.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden we started hearing like banging, but it was coming from all around us. Like we were kind of being, circled, which was a crazy feeling being circled by something you can't see. So it just circling everyone and we heard all these noises. So we were all like getting to that point where you're a little like freaked out and everything. So had that adrenaline and everything. And then all of a sudden in the hallway, there was this loud bang. And it was like if you were at school and, slammed a locker, that's what it sounded like. So obviously we all jumped and we were really, freaked out about that. And before, when we walked during a tour, there was still light in there and we what someone in our group took videos of all the different areas especially up in the infirmary because that's where we started before, like I said. And we saw the locker in their video was closed, and then when we were going to leave it was open. So that was like kind of confirmation that that's what we heard being slammed.
Yeah.
But yeah, that really freaked us out.
Yeah,
That
it
place was
sounds
really cool.
yeah, it sounds scary. You talked about you mentioned Iron Island Museum, and the first time I ever even heard about this, I had Amanda Woomer on. Do you know Amanda?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and she was telling me about it, but tell me about your experience there.
Yeah, so Iron Island is another one. We've had some really crazy experiences there. We've filmed different stuff we've been there a ton of different times. But I won't forget, so one of the first times I was there, which was, I mean, probably 7 or 8 years ago, I want to say. Again, we were there for a friend's birthday. That's what paranormal investigators do for their birthday, I guess.
Yeah.
Again, we all run out locations, but so the whole night we had, I mean, really freaky stuff happen. But the freakiest part was we had these cords that went to the basement that we set up because some people in our group were recording. And when we left in the morning, there, we obviously set the cords up, taped them down. There was nothing around them. And when we left in the morning, the cords had flowers around them. When we packed up and left in the morning, that was super freaky because they used to do funerals and stuff there, I'm pretty sure. So that was, and they were like kind of like funeral flowers that you would put on a grave. It was like the silk flowers.
Oh,
Um,
fake
so that
flowers.
was, yeah, super freaky. And then one of the more recent times I've been there, we were there with a group investigating, and a lot of people were down in the basement and a few of us were upstairs. I think we were in the kitchen. And they told us, they came upstairs and said they want to only talk to the women in the group in the basement, which, okay, because they were saying the spirit like felt uncomfortable around the men. So a bunch of us girls went down there, and I mean, we were not even 5 minutes down there. And we heard the leader of the group yell down the stairs and tell us to come upstairs. We're like, okay, this is kind of weird. We've been down here 5 minutes. Like, why is he telling us to come up? So we all go up and there's no one there. And they were by the attic part. They were in the complete opposite side of the building, talking to something up in the attic. So something mimicked his voice to us, and it was his voice to a T. I mean, we thought it was him. And it
Wow.
voice, and so we came upstairs to see, what he wanted, and yeah, we've had tons of stuff happen to Iron Island. If you ever come back into the area, you gotta check them out too.
Okay. Yeah. It reminds me too, like kind of doppelganger style. Like even though you didn't see somebody, you like heard his and you knew it was definitely his voice.
Yep. No, exactly. Yeah, it was pretty freaky to hear your friend, call you and everything, and he's in the complete opposite part of the building.
Yeah. And just so the listeners know too, there's a thing like called doppelgangers where people will see like their friend going into like a room or whatever. So you'll be like, oh, okay. So they just went in there. And then you'll go to another area, like down to the basement, and they're there. And you're like, wait, you were just in the other room. And they're like, no, I wasn't. But
Right.
it's the exact
Mhm.
person. It looks like the exact person. And it happens. I mean, I have not had it happen to me, but there's so many stories that I've had on the podcast of people talking about that happening. So the voice, it's not exactly like seeing somebody, but hearing that voice, it kind of reminds me of that whole doppelganger theory.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. Iron Island I've heard tons of people experience that there. So if you
Yeah.
wanted to experience something like that, that's a good place to go.
And is that right in Buffalo or?
It is, yeah. It's not too far from Niagara Falls and all that. It's right in, not too far from downtown Buffalo.
Hmm. I'm like trying to think, how could I fit that in?
Well, if you're going to Niagara Falls, maybe you could sneak in a little tour there quick, They might, I
Yeah.
think they do like daytime tours and stuff, I'm pretty sure.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna try and do that. Tell me what Buffalo Terminal is.
So the Buffalo Terminal is one of the so back when we first started and was investigating everything, that was one of the spots that we used to host public ghost hunts and take people through and everything. It's the train station in Buffalo, and it's now closed to the public because they got a huge grant to turn it into a bunch of different things like offices, and they're gonna have like community stuff there and everything. So when we investigated it though, so back in the day, they said that they had a huge tie to the mob. So you would get a lot of aggressive things there. And especially, so people will always ask too about the whole demon thing. And obviously, like, I don't know how you feel about all that, but, I think like the closest I've ever felt to something that was not human and very evil would have been at the Buffalo Terminal, down in actually the part they originally built it, it was underground and it was supposed to be for like taxis to pull up and everything to pick people up. But the mob actually took it over and had like their taxi service there. And they were the only ones allowed to have their taxi service there. And I remember I had a full-blown panic attack because of whatever this was in that area. It's kind of sad that you can't investigate there anymore, but obviously it's great that they're fixing it up and that's, amazing obviously, but
Yeah.
that's definitely like the darkest thing that I've encountered there. But we had tons of different experiences when, the earlier spirit boxes came out and everything. We had one of the earlier models and we were up in so Tony's apartment. He was one of the, the main mobsters, I guess, that ran the building and everything. And we asked him, we're like, hey Tony, where are we? What city are we in? And clear as day over the spirit box, it said Buffalo. So that was really cool. And my mom actually caught a picture of a little girl there too, and that place was super active. So
Interesting. And you talked about Van Her Mansion already, which sounds
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
tell me about, is it Beiel Manor?
So yeah. So Beiel Manor.
Beiel.
That's in Ohio. It's not far from Cedar Point. It's only about 45
Oh,
minutes from Cedar Point. And we go there quite often because we love the owner. He's such a great guy. Carlo is the one that owns it. And that place used to be kind of like an orphanage for kids with disabilities and everything. And we've had experiences with the kids and one of the rooms that we actually sleep in every time we go there, one of the nights the first night that we stayed, again, I felt like I was being watched the entire night. So I could not sleep. I could not sleep. I was like, told my husband, I was sitting there watching Netflix on my phone. I just could not sleep the entire night. And it was weird because then on Facebook, a few days later, I was scrolling and I saw one of our friends post a picture. And 2 days before we were there, they got this crazy picture of a little boy in the same bedroom. So that was, really crazy to find out. Like just a couple of days before, they got this crazy picture of an apparition in that bedroom where I was feeling that feeling.
yeah.
And my husband had a really crazy experience in the basement. The last time we were there, they were talking to someone in the hallway and then they had one of those laser grid pens
Mm-hmm.
and shining down the hallway in the basement and they saw a full person, a very tall figure walk past the laser grid pen. And that's the first time he's experienced something like that. So that was really, cool for him to experience. And me and a few of my friends, we host girls' slumber parties. And that was during one of our slumber parties, as they actually, saw that and everything. And so it was really cool. He was down there with the girls and, he just saw the full figure walk past the laser grid pen.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
getting
cool.
they were getting really good responses too on the spirit box during then too. So it's definitely like an intelligent response. So
It's interesting because a lot of these places I have not heard of before, so it's so interesting to hear and about
yeah,
new locations. Well, new for me anyway.
right.
There were two more on here that I know we're pretty much out of time, but I just want to ask you about these other two if you
Yeah.
have the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, of course, yeah.
Wilson Castle.
Yeah, so Wilson Castle is crazy. I mean, if you ever get a chance to go to Vermont and want to see something, in America that's as close to a real castle as possible, definitely check them out, especially oh my god in the fall. Vermont and stuff is so beautiful. But Denise is the owner of that and she's a super great lady and we love supporting obviously like other restoration projects and they put so much into that building and time and their volunteers are really, really great, but it's like its own little mini castle and it's been in her family for generations. We've definitely, I mean, we were up in, they do weddings and things like that
Oh,
in one
yeah.
bride room where brides will actually get ready and everything for their wedding. There was a story that there's a woman in there that may have lost a child or something like that. And while we were in that room, my mom, while we were investigating, was getting an impression of her and could like feel her feelings. And it was really crazy. Like she was almost in tears because she could feel her. And then we started seeing the curtain move in the one corner, and it's Wilson Castle is a really active place too.
Interesting. It sounds beautiful. Like I want to just go see it.
Yeah, no, it is. If you ever get the chance, it is so beautiful. Like, even doing just a history tour is like you're wowed the entire time. It has
Yeah.
some huge ceilings and they're all hand painted, and like they have original fireplaces, and it's a really cool location and super active too. I mean, people have gotten tons of different things there throughout the years.
Yeah. Okay, the last one, Buffalo Naval Park.
Yeah, so Buffalo Naval Park is another one that's kind of like our OG locations and everything that we used to go to back in the day. They do like history tours and all that kind of stuff, but I don't really think they do paranormal stuff anymore. But it's in so Canal Side in Buffalo. It's like this huge thing. They have the naval park, so they have two ships and a submarine from the wars and everything. One was like a battleship, and it has all the giant guns on it and everything. And then they have all kinds of different stuff you can do down there. They do festivals, and so we used to run public ghost hunts on there too. And I'll never forget, in the submarine, we had a few people in there with us because obviously it's very tight in there,
Hmm.
and hard to have a lot of people. So we would take kind of shifts, bring a few people in at a time and everything. And we were in the one room, and on the spirit box, we kept getting religious things, like talking about the Bible. He at one point said, like, "Where is my Bible?" And then it sounded like he was almost praying, a man on a spirit box. And my mom was trying to communicate with him and get his name. And I don't remember it now because it's been a long time. But she did get a name to come through. So she got it as a message. She got his name and then asked the spirit box, like, is this your name confirming? I think it was Peter or something like that. We'll say it was Peter.
Okay.
But she's asking, is this Peter? And he said, yeah. And then he's asking about his Bible and everything. So later, we actually went back and looked at the soldiers that were on that submarine. And we found him, and he was actually the preacher for the submarine. We found his name and everything, and then that connection, like how intelligent that was, we found who he was, and he was very religious, obviously, and kind of connecting that dots. That was a really cool experience to see it all play out.
Yeah, absolutely. When you can get that kind of confirmation, it's
Right.
incredible.
Yeah, right.
Okay, one last question. It's not paranormal.
Yeah.
Do I need to try the buffalo wings when I get there?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Are they
Definitely.
amazing? Better than everywhere else?
Oh yeah, definitely. And you have to get blue cheese with them. You
Oh,
have to.
I
You
love
can't.
blue cheese. It's funny because, like, everybody has a Philadelphia cheesesteak, but like, you have to get one when you're in Philadelphia and stuff. So I was wondering if, like, the buffalo wings were the same.
Yeah, oh no, definitely. Dan can give you all the good recommendations because he lives up there. But yeah,
Okay.
you definitely have to try true buffalo wings, definitely. So
It's on my list to do.
yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing the history of Wildwood with me and some of your other experiences. Tell everybody listening how they can find out more about Wildwood, book tickets for investigations or tours and all that good stuff, or follow you guys on social media and all of that stuff.
Yeah, so our biggest thing is our website, obviously. So our website is pretty simple, wildwoodsanitarium.com. We upload all of our events on there, update the information constantly. That's how you book our investigations. You just pull up on the main page and hit book now. It takes you to all the different tour options. So we do an overnight investigation. It's from 7 p.m. to 10 a.m. and it includes 6 people and it's only $350. And you get to host the whole night by yourselves. And then we do daytime investigations where basically it's the same thing, but it's noon to 5 for 150. And then we do ghost tours, which is, always really fun. It's like a half-hour history tour and then about an hour and a half of investigating. Those are 35 a person. And then we do a history tour for people that aren't into the spooky things, and that's okay. You're welcome too. And those are only $20 a person. We do all kinds of different events. We have 2 public investigations coming up in August, and you can find the tickets for those right on our website. Yeah, and so like Facebook, we keep pretty updated. It's just the Wildwood Sanitarium restoration project, very similar to Dan's, which is the Hinsdale House restoration project. You can kind of find us on both pages and everything. We, constantly share each other's stuff and everything. Yeah, and then obviously people can follow my social media, which is just Brooke Pryzstal, which would be my name on, from the post. And yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Ghost Bunny podcast. Thank you so much for joining me on my spooky adventures. And I look forward to sharing a new ghost story with you each week. Please subscribe to my podcast so you're always the first to know when a new episode is out, and follow me on social media at Ghost Bunny Podcast on Instagram and at Ghost Bunny Podcast on YouTube, or you can follow my personal account, Bridget Marquardt. And I also am working on my Patreon. I've been trying to add extra things, and hopefully I will add some video from this tour of the Wildwood as well. So check it out there. Thank you guys.